Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum to everyone. Uh, Frankly speaking, the way the SCO is at present, there are many bilateral, regional, and global variables are in play. And if you look at all these variables, one does not really draw any inspiration from the SCO. As I look at it, my own assessment is that if SCO continues to be fraught with bilateral disputes, conflicts, deep mistrust, I do not know how the SCO as an organization can really evolve or build itself, because regional organizations cannot be built on rickety foundations when bilateral relations among member states are kind of, seemingly in perpetual hostility, then obviously there is little room left to develop that particular organization. We have seen that in the context of SAARC. ECO is also facing the same. Now, we all know that globally, US considers China as its competitor in the years to come, and they are counterpoising India to become a bulwark against China. Their strategic partnership is evolving, growing. On the other hand, Russia is now caught in the Ukraine conflict, and it has become a pariah state as far as the Western world is concerned. Similarly, China-India relations are, in fact, they have serious disputes on the line of actual control, and the two countries are not talking to each other since the Doklam crisis in 2017. Pakistan, India have serious issues, particularly the Jammu and Kashmir dispute. Things have become more complicated post 5th August 2019. So one really doesn't know how to get out or lift the SCO out of this morass. It is always good to see such international events or conclaves taking place, and good statements are made. But at the end of the day, there are serious issues involving the SCO. Now, if you ask me, I will consider India as the biggest impediment to the growth of the SCO, because as I said earlier, India has serious problems with China. It is competing with China in different ways, and it has problems with Pakistan. And then thirdly, India is also, its position is somewhat ambivalent when it comes to Russia. Though at present it is not vocal in criticizing the Russian aggression, nor is China, or for that matter Pakistan. But the Western world, particularly the US, does expect India to take a more anti-aggression stance and to be seen as there's a power which which is committed to international principles and the UN Charter. So my own feeling is that the SCO at its present form has very limited prospects, if there is any. Accordingly, India, since the SAARC, as was said by the previous esteemed speaker, has become dormant, and India realized very well that the SAARC cannot progress so long as Pakistan-India disputes are there. Hence, they started promoting or exploring and promoting sub-regional initiatives like BIMSTEC and BBIN. Similarly, as I look at it, India's focus is more on international north-south transport corridor rather than BRI. That difference of opinion was very much there in the statements of President Xi Jinping and Prime Minister Modi. Similarly, we have seen how Prime Minister Modi in his statement mentioned about Chabahar port to connect South Asia with the landlocked Central Asia. On the other hand, Pakistani Prime Minister talked about Gwadar port to making it a bridge between South Asia and Central Asia. So those differences are there, and I do not know how these countries, unless they resolve their bilateral disputes, they can make any concrete contribution towards realizing the potential of SARC, of SCO. And that is the inherent problem which I see. So this is what my thinking is, and because, you know, it is correct that both China and Russia at present are trying to pander to India, lest India become totally, you know, a protege of the US. Though they have been trying to reach out to India, but for India, it will become very difficult to sustain this. The time will come when India will have to decide whether it is with the US, whether it is an active part of Quad, which is clearly against China in the Asia-Pacific region, or whether it is its interests are in kilter with regional cooperation. So that discrepancy, dichotomy will remain there for years to come, in my view. Because India at present is clearly of the view that if it is to be a counterweight to China, it is the US which can help it rather than China or Russia. It is the West which can help it to get state-of-the-art technology, especially in the defense area. So it is counting more on the US at present. Now, 10, 20 years down the road, what happens is anyone's guess. But at this stage, I do not see how the SCO can really realize its potential. Pakistan, India obviously are in a unique sui generis position. But I would not really say that it is because of India and Pakistan bilateral disputes that is kind of hobbling the Shanghai Cooperation. As I said earlier, there are other issues as well which Shanghai Cooperation is facing. SARC, as I said, yes, SARC is one example where India wanted connectivity, regional connectivity, but it was Pakistan in Kathmandu in 2014, which refused India to allow overland route access to Afghanistan, because we thought that it was not in our interest. And unless India shows some flexibility on the Kashmir dispute, Pakistan could not simply allow India to use its territory for trade with Afghanistan. So connectivity, yes, as a word, it looks very nice, but at the end of the day, it is the real politic which drives states' diplomacy. And here I see very limited area. I think most of the problems at the end of the day would be resolved bilaterally. Though in the case of Pakistan and India, our positions have hardened over the years, especially since 2019. And I do not really see much bilateral space left between India and Pakistan to even talk to each other meaningfully. My own apprehension is that rather my preference would be that Pakistan and India now engage with each other behind the scenes off a stage, but through a third-party mediation. India, we all know, is averse to a third-party mediation. It would not agree to it. But be that as it may, my own feeling is that unless this time round Pakistan and India are willing, Pakistan is definitely willing, but India, if India is also willing to address the Jammu and Kashmir issue upfront, only then can perhaps we think of some progress being made in SAARC as well as, but the SCO would continue to be riddled with other issues as well, because global variables directly impinge on whatever SAARC SCO is doing. So the room is very limited, space is very limited, the way the world is evolving, the way we are again moving from, because the Western phrase that they would not like to decouple from the US but de-risk its relations with China, we will see that some tensions would ramp up between China and US and Russia and the US and other Western countries, because Taiwan is another issue which we will see as to how, because US is kind of provoking China. Though China, Mr. Ambassador Masood Khalid is here, he can, he is obviously current with all those issues, and he will tell us about that as well. So the question remains that SCO is there, but it would continue to be a talking shop in my view. Even, rats, there we hardly see any go. There have been some military exercises, but not too much effect in my view. Even bilateral arrangements haven't worked. We have, for example, Pakistan, India, we signed anti-terrorism mechanism back in 2006, but to no avail. It has not been allowed to function, operate. So there are serious issues of mistrust between Pakistan, India, Pakistan, Russia, China, and India, and then Russia. In this paragraph about defense missile systems was incorporated in the Delhi Declaration at the behest of Russia. But then Russia very conveniently ignores the supply of 5 S-400 systems to India, which directly affects Pakistan. So these are hard issues which come into play, and I do not, and in Pakistan, India, this bilateral equation is important. And unless this is settled, and then China-India relationship, these two relationships are, I think, more important, and they will define the future contours of the SCO. And unless these are handled properly, gently, side by side, I do not see how the SCO can develop itself. At this point in time, I do not see any room, space that these two problematic areas can be addressed. Pakistan, we all know, has been trying even to revive SAARC, but it is going nowhere. And simply issues of terrorism, extremism, separatism, they're all, areas where all these member countries differ. For us, state terrorism has become a big issue in occupied Jammu and Kashmir. For India, it is cross-border terrorism. Whereas for China, it is separatism, which is far more important than extremism. So we're all, kind of looking at the same thing, but with different perspectives. And herein lies the problem. And frankly speaking, I am not really very hopeful about the future of SCO unless these bilateral equations are at least set in motion to be resolved at some point in future. Thank you very much.